Well, Barbara Leaf is a former Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs and joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Ambassador, thank you very much for all your time for speaking to us here at TRT World. I want to start by asking you what you make of this latest development, this new U.S. proposal. Could we be approaching the end to this conflict with this one? How hopeful are you?
Not very. We've heard this sort of threat to resume war and then a quick pivot to peace around the corner is around the corner messaging. And I'm frankly quite skeptical. The president announced this new coordination regimen on Sunday night that was ostensibly to get ships moving back through the Strait of Hormuz, only to shut it off 48 hours later. So I'm holding my breath like everyone else, but I'm not very optimistic.
So are you saying here that from your diplomatic experience in particular, does this U-turn suggest a breakthrough or just simply a tactical pause from Washington here, the U-turn on the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz?
It feels more like a tactical pause. Of course, there is so much behind the scenes activity that we simply don't have insights to, neither in Washington nor around the world. But the fact remains, the most immediate and pressing issue before us, before the president, is to get the Strait of Hormuz fully open, out of the hands of Iran, and for free passage of ships in both directions. That seems very unlikely to occur imminently, but I live to be surprised.
Look, staying on the Strait of Hormuz, despite this ceasefire in place currently, we've still seen attacks in the Gulf, tensions surrounding the Strait. We've also had U.S. forces reportedly shooting at an Iranian vessel in the Gulf of Oman today. So just how fragile is this truce in reality here?
Well, of course, the ceasefire and it coming to an end is a political judgment on both sides. It's not a military judgment as to whether the ceasefire has failed or not, because with any ceasefire, you can have fraying at the edges. You can have random shots fired that are not meant as a direction to resume a war by that side. But what occurred on Monday struck me as Iran demonstrating to Washington that it had many other escalation cards to play and many destructive escalation cards to play. The UAE had done nothing to merit the kinds of attacks by cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones, but the Iranians were both frustrated that CENTCOM had managed to escort 2 U.S. flagged vessels sent overnight on Sunday to Monday, got them through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians sent out some fast boats. CENTCOM, the U.S. Navy, took them down. So this was a sort of a demonstration by the Iranians that they had other cards to play. So anytime you've got these kind of forces on the sea in close proximity, of course, there is great room for friction and then escalation. But I think this is a pretty tenuous ceasefire.
What do you make, Ambassador, on the timing of this memorandum and the visit of Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas to China, just a week ahead of Donald Trump's visit to China? Is there relevance to timing here? Or what would you make of China's potential involvement in all this, too?
Well, there's very little that's coincidental in anything that the Iranians are doing these days. And I think it's not surprising that the Iranians are trying to front load their side of the argument with China, expecting that China can carry some diplomatic water for them. And indeed, the public comments that we've seen from the Chinese have been, first of all, very few statements and very carefully assessing not so much blame, but assessing responsibility on both sides. So calling on both sides to end the conflict, to step back from the mutual blockade. I would not expect China to wade into this. Possibly President Trump will ask them to use their influence with Iran. But they are one of the few countries, China, that has a strategic relationship with Iran. Iran has very few friends in the world, and Beijing is one of the very few.
You've heard Donald Trump speaking a couple of times today. He's showing cautious optimism. Is there still enough trust left between the US and Iran for any meaningful diplomacy to succeed? To conclude here, thank you.
Well, actually, there's zero trust, and if it were possible to do -0, I would use that phrasing to describe trust. But trust is not necessary in a negotiation, or at least to get a negotiation started. And indeed, the U.S. does need a mediator to break through the impasse that has settled over this conflict. But no, there's no trust. But you build that slowly. But frankly, you only do it at the table, not passing notes through a mediator, no matter how much the mediator may be trusted by both sides.
Ambassador Leaf, really appreciate your time and your thoughts. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you.